guys, as we meet weekly as our financial planning committee, it's just a good timely discussion because and probably like we've all seen over the last few weeks, month of there's a lot of fear out there, and I've noticed that the last, you know, certainly I've been through different, political environments and economic cycles in my career, and the one thought of doing something like this is, just what have we been hearing across all the clients we've been talking to over the past 3, 4, 5 weeks. And for me, it's been some people aren't as concerned, but then the other extreme of uh, just the uncertainty and the fear. So that's been certainly something we've helped people navigate. And sometimes it's just being able to sit there and listen and reassure people that that's why we spend so much time up front putting a financial plan in place, right? That's a term that's just thrown out, I think, by a lot of people, but really understanding the plan that is there that drives all the rest of the decision making. Um, and while yes, the investments are in our face, right? Because we can look online or look on our phone and see what it's gone up or gone down today. Reminding people that at least for our clients, it's all tied back to your financial plan, and those plans are built with good economic cycles and certainly um, uh, volatile or negative economic cycles. We got to let them work through both. Um, and for me, there's been a lot of conversations around, of course, tariffs and the debt and volatility in the markets and what do we think is going to happen in the coming year. Um, and I think it all just goes back to the short-term thinking, like, right? So versus the marathon. And I think of one story in particular. I was speaking with a client, younger client, he's probably in his mid 40s, really good saver, and he's talking about his kind of peer group and uh, that younger generation where they're kind of during the middle of the volatility, they're going, see, that's why I don't invest. That's why I don't put in my 401k. That's why I don't save into the markets. It's too volatile, and you'll never get me to put money into that. And you sit there and shake your head and go, well, you know, again, that's a short-term way of thinking versus that marathon approach. And we need these volatile periods as young investors. And the other one I hear a lot too is, especially from maybe somebody who's closer to retirement, it's, well, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time for this to recover. And that's always been an interesting comment to me because even if you're 60 or 70 or 75, like if you plan on living into your late 80s, early 90s, people are living longer. Um, Again, February, March, you didn't have time. And that's I think coming from a place of fear. We don't want to see our nest eggs and our life savings um, decline, but now all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, 3, 4 weeks later, um, it's back to those original levels. So again, tying it back to that financial plan, you actually do have time. And yes, like anything, like our grandparents always told us, our parents don't put it all in one basket, right? So I guess for people who maybe have it all in one basket, a short-term market event like we've seen this year can certainly have a huge impact, especially if you're drawing income and taking distributions. But that's just been an interesting theme that I've seen around not thinking people have enough time when, at 70, you have decades, right? And that your plan should be set up for that, and trying to get younger people to see that volatility is actually the opportunity. And we as younger investors want those volatile periods.
I think people have been asking that question too, kind of looking at volatility or time. A lot of people are asking, like, what should I do? Should I make some changes? That kind of goes back to your comment on doing a financial plan, making sure that, like, you've met with somebody recently. If you haven't engaged with somebody, maybe this is a really good time to say, hey, I could use a little extra help with this because I had some questions. So I think that is an opportunity. Has something within your organization changed? Have your needs changed? Are you trying to, meet payroll because maybe receivables are coming in differently? So, right, has something fundamentally changed? And that goes back to people too. Right, if you've met and you're like, no, we are still planning on retiring in 20, 30 years, maybe 10, right? If you sat down and have a really good plan, you talked it through, I think you're going to be in really good shape. It's always kind of steering the course, making sure, right, the tortoise and the hare, the tortoise wins, right? So sometimes just sticking on your path really works out.
Yeah, and Ange, I think to the person that's either maybe nearing retirement or in retirement, whether it's at their employer at the water cooler, or with their friends and family, or worse of all, on the news, if you're seeing these big dips in the market, right? Because that's what gets people's attention. It's important to go back to what you mentioned about the plan in place. We want to compare your portfolio. We want to compare apples to apples, and not necessarily, when you see on the news that the market's down X%, we want to make sure that's not an apples to oranges comparison. And really, we want to create a custom index for our clients, again, against their goals and objectives, against their values, and more importantly, their timeline, like you mentioned. So again, the concern is definitely understandable when you see all the news and the headlines. But what's important is, when you have a conversation with us, let's make sure you're on track for your goals, and make changes as necessary, not just because, this news article came out and we want to see that. But yeah, that's the important part. Relate it back to your goals, your plan, and assess from there.
Yeah, and to Mario's point of, sticking with your plan, as you have your emergency fund in place, you have your goals and objectives laid out, right? What can we be doing in these downturns? I've had clients ask, should I stop investing? Or on the flip side, I had a client reach out right as the market, kind of hit that low point. And they said, should I max out my Roth IRA for 2024 still? And I'm like, that's what we like to hear. Like, take advantage of some of those dips as you're in that accumulation phase. As long as it, doesn't make a major impact to your plan, take advantage of those dips and you're buying at that discount that you like to hear. But, now that lower contribution has already rebounded with the market as the market rebounded and has taken advantage of that growth opportunity. So, again, as long as you have your plan in place and looking at how that volatility fits in, you're going to be better off in the long run.
Yeah, Colton, that's a good point. What I've been hearing from 401k participants is, should I stop contributing to my 401k plan because the market is down or has been volatile? The answer is no. There's multiple reasons. First is the employer match. If you do not contribute to the 401k plan, you do not receive that match. Tax advantage. If you do not contribute to your 401k plan, you do not receive that tax advantage. And then last is the dollar cost averaging. When the markets are low, you are reducing your cost basis, which essentially gives you more potential for growth.
Yeah, TJ, that's all good points. And I think, some really basic fundamental things that, back to my original comment about fear. I joke with people, when the markets are flying, when they're up, nobody's ever called me in my 20 plus years of saying, no, it's too much. We gotta do something different. The fear is, and we as advisors are all well schooled in that, right? We pay very close attention to the human element, the human emotional side of it, right? I think whether it's your finances or anything, making a decision in a place of fear is completely different versus a place of comfort, right? For lack of a better term. And so I think that's what a good, Ange, to your point, right? That's what a good advisor can do. It's help in, draw out the emotion out of any decision, and look at it from pros and cons. So I think just in recap, I thought this was just a good time for, as we're all together anyways, just to kind of talk through what we're hearing. And I is part of what I love about what we do is because we see every different side of it and how people react to things like this. But in summary, I think it's just look back to your financial plan, give us a call, right? If there is any uncertainty or fear, talk it through with someone, to Angela's point before, someone who has not only experience, who's lived through it, but also can just help kind of see a broader picture.